They say everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. That's the biggest one. Like, man, I'm about to do this, and then when it actually hits you, you're like, well, what are we gonna do now? I didn't expect that. My wife is notorious for that. She's like, well, what do we do now? Like, you got to improvise. You got to improvise. Like, if your plan works flawlessly, and then you've been blessed for that plan. But if it's usually a long-term plan, no.
Some of the greatest businesses that have started, companies, they spent 15 minutes on a business plan, and then they just started it after those 15 minutes. If you're sitting here writing a business plan for 20 days, you're 20 days from where you could have been if you had just went on ahead and started. Yeah, it makes sense to have a plan. I ain't saying don't go in without a plan. Have a plan B if you can, but start.
Yeah, we can talk about it, but just do it. Just get it out there. No matter what it is, just get it out there, because people will see it, and that's our thing, for people to see our work.
Good morning, Savannah, and welcome to the Savannah Business Showcase. I'm your host, Teraz, and I am here this morning with Tyron Williams and Chinyere Williams. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, perfect. Chinyere Williams. So they're the founders of DOF Media. DOF stands for Depth of Field.
Yes.
DOF Media specializes in photography and video media by using all depths of field to proliferate your vision. All right, so before we get started, I'm going to give you guys a scenario. Either one of you can answer.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. All right, but the purpose of the show is to motivate other entrepreneurs out there listening, to give them the motivation, inspiration they need to really jump out there, just like you guys have done.
Right.
So here's a scenario: you're walking through your neighborhood. A little kid comes up to you, says that, Tyron, Chinyere, you're my heroes. How can I be like you guys when I grow up? Right. I love what you're doing. How can I be like you when I grow up? So in language that a 10 or 12-year-old can understand, what does it take to be Tyron Williams or Chinyere Williams?
Well, first I would say find something that you love to do. Find a passion for something that you love to do, and that passion will drive you into doing the things that you will grow up to do. Like music was my passion. It was always my passion since I was little, and I've always stayed around it, from playing instruments to being in band to recording music myself. It's something that I've always done, and once I got to college, it transferred more than just doing music. It transferred into video as well. And, and you got to think about everything we do in life is surrounded by music, and so that turned into my passion into doing video and doing a bunch of other different things that we do now. So I just tell them to find something that you love and find some way to keep doing it, and I think you'll be successful with that.
Awesome.
I tell them, don't give up. You will have more people telling you you can't do it, but you have to believe that you can, and eventually you'll find, at least, as long as you have like one or two people who are there to help keep pushing you forward, you'll get to it, and you'll succeed. Awesome.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourselves. Where you from? How'd you get started in this? All this good stuff.
I'm from here. I'm gonna go first. You don't wait first. I'm from Savannah, born and raised. I've been all over the place. I have a lot of ideas. Sometimes it's kind of like, is that even capable of being done? Because my ideas are just so vast. And a couple of quotes of mine is, if you're not afraid of your dream, then you're not dreaming big enough. And success is right outside your comfort zone. So if you're comfortable, then you're not being successful. You have to keep pushing and moving forward. Get out your box and step outside of your surroundings, and you'll find more things to become better and better and better.
That's real.
So now you go.
Wow, it's hard to top that. Gracious. I was born in Long Island, New York, but I might say I'm from Savannah because I've been here majority of my life since I was 6. So this is all I know is Savannah. Basically, what about myself, huh?
What about yourself?
What about myself?
He loves football. He's actually the one that pushes me to keep going, to be honest. He's one of my one or two people that's in my corner, because you will get discouraged along this ride. Being an entrepreneur, it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. There's been times where I'm like, I'm done. I'm about to just go get a 9 to 5. And he's like, no, do you believe in this? Yes, I do. Then you got to keep going. So that's him. He's the caring, kind-hearted, keep you grounded person.
That was a test, by the way, to see if you know me. but just to piggyback off of what she said, basically, I am that, and football has played a big part in my life as far as how I view life. The coaches, I've been blessed to have the coaches I have. When things go wrong in a game, you can't just be upset about it. You have the famous motto our coaches to tell us is the next play. Make the next play your best play. You can't change what you have done. You can't change the past, but what you can control is where you go in the future. And that is something I've always prided myself on, to think about where we go in the future. Like sometimes she'd be like, well, what's this? And what this may have went wrong and this may have wrong. I was like, well, I can't think about what went wrong. I can only learn from what went wrong and focus on how can we get better to move forward. And that's, I take that approach in everything. Even when I first started dating her, I can't talk about the things that went wrong. I just focus about the future. Like, you sure you want to be with me? Let's this is what we talk. Don't talk about this now. Let's focus on, we're trying to get married. You gotta keep moving forward. And it took a while to hammer that in her head, and she'll give me those eyes, and I'll look. I'm like, don't do it. We gotta keep forward. Move forward. So that's helped out a lot.
That's real, man. I mean, like if you focus on the past, it'll like ruin your future.
Exactly.
You can't. It's hard to look forward when you're always looking back.
Exactly. Especially people who kind of run from demons. Like if say for instance you, like I know I grew up just like most people in our area grew up without like certain parents or fathers and stuff like that. And your goal is like, well, I'm not going to be like my mom. I'm not going to be like my dad. And when you chase those demons, you will end up turning into the thing that you are afraid you're going to turn into. The only way to beat those demons is to create something that you never had. And some people, it's like, how can I create something I never had? Well, guess what? That's what being an entrepreneur is. We've never had ownership before. When you graduate school, your main thing is to get a job, find a great job and do a job. But somebody in this world created those jobs that they're telling you to apply for. What are those people doing? And, if you have a passion for something that you love to do, go for it. Do it.
You said something real that sparked the story in my mind. I'm not gonna tell a story because I'll tell it horrible. But the idea is that like some people, like you say, grow up without a father or grow up with an alcoholic father or abusive father. Some people will take that as an excuse that they have to do it. My father was an alcoholic, so I'm an alcoholic too.
Yes.
And then some people will go to a completely higher level and they'll say, my father was an alcoholic, so I had to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you guys are special.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, in that regard,
change.
because you took the right route, the better route.
You definitely have to assess the situation. You'd be like, okay, this is what I didn't want, but this is where I'm headed. And that goes to tying back into, if you're steady looking back, which is what you don't want, you're not looking ahead of where you're going, which is basically the circle. It's a circle. You're going around and around like a dog chasing their tail, because the dog is looking back at their tail and not paying attention to what's really going on. So they end up in that constant circle. At some point, you have to step away from the situation and look at everything. You look at it as one unit, and then you break it down and look at it as pieces, and you assess each piece until you can see where the change needs to take place to move forward and break the cycle.
Yeah, it's a lot easier that way too. You think of the big picture, and you can never do it, but if you break it down, it's easier to take steps.
Yes.
Goals and like checklists. Like, I'm not a checklist type person. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this today.
Yeah.
And if it get done, it get done. I try to make sure everything get done, but I don't physically sit there and write it down. It's in my head mentally. But when you do it that way, you're bound to forget a step or forget something. He's the checklist person. He sit down in the morning with his list and he's writing down things and he checks it off. And if he doesn't accomplish what's on that list for the day, it moves over to tomorrow until it's accomplished. And when you do it mentally, it kind of dwindles to the back of your head and you forget about it.
It also can become overwhelming. Sometimes when you look at things as a whole, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. And it scares a lot of people, especially entrepreneurship. That scares you. Like, oh my gosh, how is this going to happen? Or how are you supposed to do this? Just take a deep breath. Like I tell you, take a step back, break it down. What's the easiest thing that you could do right now? Do that. And once you do that, that builds confidence. It's kind of like walking. When you first start to walk and you walk and you take a step, you may fall, but guess what? You took that first step. That means you see where you want to go. You know what you want to do. And it also, it reminds me of an old football court. This is a football comeback. they say everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one. Like, man, I'm about to do this, and then when it actually hits you, you're like, well, what are we gonna do now? I didn't expect that. My wife is notorious for that. She's like, well, what do we do now? Like, you got to improvise. You got to improvise. Like, if your plan works flawlessly, and then you've been blessed for that plan. Mm-hmm. But if it's usually a long-term plan, nah, it doesn't work like that.
Break down.
Exactly. It's like telling somebody to go through an obstacle course and walk in a straight line. It's not going to happen. You're going to try to dodge something. Something's going to come at you that you didn't expect. Life sometimes happen, and that's the biggest thing. Life, don't let life get in the way of your dreams and your passion. Yeah. It's going to happen. I don't care who you are. You have to overcome something. Yeah. And the people that shows you how hungry you are. Are you going to let that deter you from being successful, or are you gonna fight through that and push through that? It's not rainbows and sunshine, not at all. It's not at all.
This is good, y'all. This is a good interview so far. This is good, man. It's the classic. So I hope everybody out there is listening.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I feel I feel something here.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be a good interview. So let's take a step back. What did you play in football?
I played defensive tackle and center. I started off as center.
Okay.
And our coach put us in Oklahoma drill. Like, if you play football, when you go 1-on-1. And he put me on a defensive tackle, and I started playing pretty good at defensive tackle. And he was like, man, you got a lot of aggression in you. I was like, I didn't have any outlets, Right, yeah. So he put me a defensive tackle, and I would tackle people, and that's how I released my energy,
Great way.
by doing it.
Great way to do it. Who'd you play for?
I played for high school. I played for Windsor Forest Knights. Go Knights, even though they lost last night against Beach. But still support my team.
Yeah.
I played semi-pro for a while with Savannah Warriors.
Okay.
At the time when they were assembled. I played for them, and
nice.
I just played since I was 6. That's everything that I did was football. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I played, man, but I was terrible.
So
I played offensive guard.
Yeah.
And my team, my senior year, we lost every game.
Oh Lord.
Oh, wow.
Every game.
Don't feel
terrible.
bad. Don't feel bad. My freshman year at Windsor, we lost every single game. In the last game, we lost 7-6 because the field goal kicker missed the kick. So,
oh man,
yeah,
that's how we felt. All of our games were like within a point or two or a score.
Yeah,
so it wasn't. It's not like we were. I guess we weren't terrible.
Yeah, that year we played everybody for their homecoming. I see why they picked us. So it was horrible.
All right. Okay. So y'all a husband and wife team.
Yes.
Okay. So I was scrolling through your Instagram. You guys haven't been married long, right?
No.
We just got married this year, May.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so how was that as a husband? Did y'all work together before?
No.
Okay.
Well, prior to the marriage, we did.
It wasn't like
kinda,
now.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
It was definitely
I'm more
now.
hands-on now. Beforehand, he was just kind of like, I got it. You can't help me with nothing. You don't know what you're doing. Da, 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 da. I'm like, bruh. Oh, sorry.
Gotta use your big voice. The ones you use in the kitchen.
And, I just had to show him, basically, like, he's sporty. He can do music and stuff like that. I've never played a sport. I tried tennis with my best friend. It didn't work out, okay? I'm not a sports person. I love music, but I don't know how to make music or anything like that. I try to sing. Anybody can sing. They just don't all sound good. So
yeah,
throw a salt.
I make a joke with her, like when she sings in church and in church songs. I said the Lord said make a joyful noise. And
there you go. So as long as they're smiling, even if they out of key, it's okay.
Yes, that's me. Okay, but I'm the artsy one. I draw. I can write poetry. I can put things together. Color wise, I'm artsy. So. I showed him, I can learn the basics. That's me. Sorry. So, I was like, show me how to do it. And he's like, no, if you want to learn, you'll sit down and do it on your own. So, I took it upon myself and I started doing it. And I was like, well, you've been busy a lot with all your other work. Let me do this project. And I did it. And he loved it. And so that's what kind of led to me. And mind you, this was like 2 years of me trying to get in that he finally let me in.
Yes. It's not that I didn't want to let anybody in. I was the type of person where if you want it done right, do it yourself. And
But you can't have that mentality.
You can't. And if you have that mentality, you will never grow as a person in business, or you won't be able to surround yourself around team. And
Yes.
and you know, we've been blessed to actually be busy now to where it's to the point where we now have to look for people to help us grow this vision that we have. And you know, it's a great feeling. And you know, one of our mentors last night just told us it's better to have a chunk of a big pie than to have a whole pie by yourself and not go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
So you know, I that kind of hit home again for me. Like, okay, well, we have to get more people on this team to make this ship go, you know, and grow. So
That's
you
awesome.
can only go as big as you can. You can only go as far, I guess, as
basically the team that's with you. You know?
basically. And if it's just you yourself, you won't make it far because you'll spread yourself thin until there's nothing left of you. But if you have a team, you can insert those tasks to other people, and then that way you can do more. That's just like an assembly line. If I start an assembly line and it's just me myself, I can push out 20 boxes easy by myself. But if my business grows to where they need 50 boxes a day, how can I push out 50 boxes a day? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can only grow as big as your team allows you.
That's
and
right.
if you are your only team, then you're not going to really get anywhere. It's going to be you your whole time.
Yes, definitely was tough for me. The example my pastor gave me, he was like, you know, NASCAR drivers, it's one person in that car. They're driving, but when you pull over and something happens, they have a pit crew. They have somebody change the tires. They have somebody check your engine. They have all that. They have somebody pushing that. And even in solo sports, even in golf, you know, yes, it's one golfer, but they have a caddy. They have somebody to drive where you're going in. They have maybe a coach, swinging coach.
Multiple coaches behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you know, you have to realize it takes more than just one person to do it. No matter how talented you are, you still need some kind of team to surround you to be successful.
Right. So you guys are the first husband wife team I've had in the studio.
Oh, wow.
So there are husband wife teams, but we're the first one I have together. Right.
Yes.
It's cool to see you guys because you bounce off each other very well.
Yes.
I don't know if it's because you're new to marriage. You know what I'm saying? I've been married 7 years, so in 3 years it might be different if you come back on the show. But I'm just messing. You guys will be fine. What are some tips for other husband and wife couples out there who want to go into business together?
Pray.
Yes, pray. And then on top of that, you know, at first, you know, what I do, she mentioned before, she really went into what I did. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, a lot of husbands and wives out there, or a lot of wives out there, you know, if the husband's out there working and doing stuff like that, you know, you got to think business and marriage is kind of similar as far as to how you have to operate. Marriage is a job already by itself. And then you're working, you know, at the same time. So like when you're entrepreneurship, your business has to be on your mind 24/7. And sometimes you may neglect that person that may be at home, whether it's a husband or a wife. You may neglect them because on your mind, you're just thinking about growing your business. So a healthy thing I would say is get your spouse involved. They may not have to necessarily work in your business, but you know, hey, you know, I used to do with her, like, babe, come check this video out. What do you think? And she would tell me what she thought about it. And the more I came to her for her opinions and stuff, she got more intrigued. And because she got more intrigued, she's like, well, hey, you know, like she said, she's seen me doing business a lot lately. She's like, well, man, let me help you out with that. As any good spouse would do. Let me help you out with that. You know, she didn't know what in the world she was doing. But the fact that she was willing to do that, and I fed on that, you know, it blossomed and turned into now a dynamic dual team. So, you know, and then, you know, she's kind of bossy. She won't tell you though, but she's like, I want to do this. I want to do that. Like,
It took a long time for us to be able to actually sit down and do one video together, because we're two different people. So you get to give us the same clips. My video is not going to look like his video, even though it's the same clips. So just trying to combine the style, again, like a marriage, a relationship, any relationship, you're combining two different things together, hoping that it meshes and works well. So we're still working on that as far as the business wise, trying to make sure both of our styles mesh together to create magic, basically. And it's the same with the relationship. Like, it took a long time. I wouldn't let him in my kitchen. Like, he literally physically, I'm little, you see. He picked me up and put me out the threshold of the kitchen and was like, you go. He was not allowed in the kitchen for like a whole year and some change. And that's how he was with his business. So to break the ice, you know, he kicked me out. But then eventually we started to work together and produce better quality things.
Because it takes trust, and trust takes time.
Yes,
Yes.
it does.
So
It does take time.
Makes a lot
I
of
was
sense.
like Batman in my Batcave. I didn't want
Right.
nobody to come in.
Where's Alfred?
Yeah.
You're not Alfred. Get out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alfred, bring me some water. That's all I need. So yeah, it was kind of like that. I had to let her in, and just like she mentioned, as a relationship, you're not about to just let anybody in your heart. You're gonna be on the fence, like, oh, I don't know you. Well, I think I like you. It looks like it's going good, and eventually, when you let it in, it should blossom. Once you get to that point, that's what you hope for. And just like with the business was my baby. Like, I didn't want nobody else in it, and that tells you how serious I was about business when I didn't let my wife, my fiance at the time, into my business. That's how passionate about my stuff I was. But now that I've let her in, it has taken the workload off of me. And not only that, like you said, you create something rare. You don't see a lot of husband and wives actually working, doing a business together. It's rare. And we didn't realize how rare it was. To the same reaction you had is everywhere we go. Like, wait, but y'all married? So
because it's hard. It is rare because it's a hard thing to do.
Exactly.
To handle both of them,
It
to
is.
have a business together and then have a marriage together, because like he said, balancing, one gonna kind of get left, but at that point, if the business is moving forward but the marriage is kind of starting to dwindle and suffer from it, you got to sit down and come to terms like, okay, this is what's wrong in the marriage right now, but this is what's good in the business. And then somewhere you have to make a compromise between the two. Not necessarily like this is what we're going to do over here and we ain't going to worry about this over here. It's while we're over here, how can we make it a benefit to this side as well, which is between the marriage and the business.
Yes.
Like
recently, she's been chiming to go on a date. So what we ended up doing is we actually went to an event that we were covering, and our date night was us capturing each other through our lens. We were working, but at the same time, we have headsets and things where we talk, and I would just say sweet things to her on the headset while we're working. Like, I see you over there, just little things like that to kind of keep it interesting at the same time while we're working. Yes, I'm pretty sure she would like to go sit down at a restaurant and talk about something that's other than business, but sometimes you gotta kind of mix the two a little bit, like that.
Yeah, it's got to be like a harmony.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it's not really it's not always black and white. It's got to be some mix. I get what you're saying.
Yes.
I get what you're saying.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so earlier you said something about you had a moment where you said maybe I should just quit and go get a 9-to-5, and then that brought a quote in my mind that it's easier to start a business really than it is to fill out 50 job applications.
It is.
So like, what made you guys want to start the company? What led you to start the company?
freedom. Because when you're in the 9-to-5, like, while the business is growing, we both still had our 9-to-5s. And we have a family. We have 3 children.
Okay.
So, again, without a team.
How old are they?
9, 8, and 6.
Oh, nice.
We're
Okay.
spreading ourselves very thin, from my job to his job to 3 children to their extracurricular activities to trying to run companies outside of everything else. Not 1 company, but 3 companies. And it just became too much.
It did.
And we saw that we were making enough from the companies that we would still be kind of comfortable to step away from the 9-to-5s to give us that freedom. Because when you work a 9-to-5, you're on somebody else's time. You're on somebody else's schedule.
Yes.
You're
just to get a day off, you have to let somebody know 2 weeks in advance, 3 weeks. That's horrible. You can't predict the future. You can't know, like, just for instance, this hurricane that just passed by. A lot of people still had to go to work. And there's evacuation on TV. They tell you get out. There's still people I know working up until that Saturday.
That's crazy.
It's like, no, dude,
Yeah.
that's not
Go.
that's not just out of here.
Yeah.
Like, our staff was like, hey, go be with your family. Go be with your family. Any money that we lose out on this weekend, hey, we'll make it back.
Worth it,
We'll make it happen. And that's just because we had a lot of cancellations that weekend. Like, we had weddings and a bunch of things like that, and just they canceled out on us. Hey, I'm not even mad. Go be with your family and go be safe.
Right.
That's more important.
And you couldn't do that with a job.
Yeah,
you
can't.
got to.
You got to do that. And
I
they
remember,
wanna fire
like,
you. That's
last
crazy.
year when I was working and the hurricane came, I worked with my boss that Wednesday or that Thursday, and then that night they was like, yes, it was that Wednesday. Everybody was like, you got to leave. So I called my boss and I'm like, hey, what we doing? Are we open tomorrow? She was like, I already left. And I'm like, seriously? Like, I just worked with you and you said nothing. You know what I'm saying? And here I am sitting in town trying to make sure that I don't lose my job.
Wow.
Because of a storm, but my boss is already gone. Crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, And again, I cannot stress enough, just freedom and wanting to be able to create something that everybody can benefit from. Because when you're working a job, the only people that's really benefiting from you working somebody else's job is the person at the top. We're not trying to create a company that only we benefit from. We want to create a company that our personnel under us can benefit from. You know, we want to, we have a plan for all kind of positions. And it's the lowest pay that we have is like $15, and that's for our interns. And we're only hoping that we can grow to reach that potential to be able to do that for just an intern to make $15 an hour.
Exactly.
You know,
Right.
Exactly. And you know, wages, like it's crazy. Like, you know, they have something that's called minimum wage. Can you imagine being paid the minimum for your time and yourself? We're taking you away from your family. We're taking you away from your something that you could be doing productive, and we're going to pay you $8 for you to do it.
It's not worth it. It's
an hour of your
not.
life. Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
As a kid, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, $8. But as a grown adult, you're telling a man or a woman straight to their face who has a family at home that you're going to pay them $8 an hour.
Yeah.
You don't even make $100 a day.
Yeah.
No.
And
Crazy.
then you don't get full-time hours. Like,
Right.
you only get part-time hours. From a business perspective, I get it. You know, like, when
easy
you're
on
on the
your
other side of
pocket.
the fence, oh man, I see why they charge them $8 an hour, man. This thing costs a lot of money. But at the end of the day, it's you got to think about what do you want to do? Are you going to contribute to be like other businesses and treat? Now I understand every business can't make $15, $20 an hour, because some things that you may have to do may not warrant that type of money.
Right.
You know, fast food restaurants, you're not about to pay them no $15, $20 an hour.
They could.
They could.
Especially McDonald's. But
yeah, I mean, come on, you're not that
They
kind
not
of service.
those.
You're not. But
Yeah.
if it's something that, you know, like I can see a Chick-fil-A doing that because their customer service is flawless. Like you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem with Chick-fil-A. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So it's that type of thing. If you build that type of culture for your business, why not? Why not invest that extra money so people can present your business in a better light?
Right.
It's worth it. You know, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to do with our business. We're trying to, you know, take passionate people. You gonna have to get that, ma'am. We're just trying to take, you know, people who are passionate about the same things we are, like video, audio, and just create a culture to where it feels like everybody can grow. You know, we're not trying to keep people underneath us. We pray that eventually they can go and own their own companies as well, and continue the cycle, or just help us find opportunities for more people to, you know, be a part of something great like this.
Right,
So.
right. So following y'all on social media, because we met originally
Correct.
at the Savannah Small Business Chamber.
Yes.
Briefly.
You did very good, Venom.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I was a little nervous about it, but I did okay. I did okay. I felt good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I met you there. I started following you on social media, and I've been amazed. That's why I reached out to you again. I've been amazed at like how well you guys are able to put out consistent content. It's good content,
Yes,
you know, on social media, because I know how hard it is. Like, just it's hard for me. Like any post you see me do with this radio station,
Yeah.
it's the morning of before the show, and the night before I'm doing the editing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
so it's hard. So like, how do you guys, or do you have any tips? And then we'll go to a break. But like, do you have any tips for a small business owner, an entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, or duo? Like, do you have any tips for them to put out consistent content? How do you do it?
First off, realize that there is no downtime. There is no downtime to do it. And then what we did was you have to really look at the data on your customers, the people you're targeting. Like if you are a workout guru, you're not going to look. You're going to look to see when people are working out the most time. You know, you're going to see, do they work out in the morning or do they work out at night? When can I reach these people the best times? And then, you know, on top of that, just really like plan it. Like we have a sheet at a place like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you know, and we're looking at what can we post on Monday? What can we post on Tuesday? What can we post on Wednesday?
When's the best
Thursday
time?
and Friday? When's the best time to post it? You know, and just who are you targeting to? Like of course we do a lot of things, but there's certain people that we're talking to. So hey, if we put like if we do a lot of baby and maternity photo shoots. Well,
Okay.
when do you think moms are doing social media stuff? After they drop the kids off. So, guess what? We're posting stuff that's during the time frame that we believe or our data shows us that this is the time moms are on.
Okay.
You know, on social media or things like that. And then go ahead.
take advantage of the scheduling too, because you know you could set your posts to be. You could schedule it to post.
Yeah, automatically
So
for you.
if you're doing it in the morning time, why not just go ahead and you set that one out. Let me go ahead and make another post and schedule it to post later. And then that way you have 2 posts in one day.
Yep, got you.
And you can still do your editing at
I know you
night.
do it with Facebook, but you guys do it on Instagram too. Like, how do you automate it on Instagram? Or it's just
No,
you
Instagram,
can't?
you got to do it yourself.
Yeah. Instagram, I ain't gonna lie. Out of all the social media, I love Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram is my favorite one.
Okay.
You know, I'm just starting to get on Snapchat. You know, or more active on Snapchat because that's where it's at now. But Instagram, I love Instagram. And so, you know, I like I tell her, there shouldn't be a day where we don't have anything posted on Instagram. You know, once you post it, like I said, certain times of the day. Like if you post it in the morning time, you'll probably get some traction, but then it'll probably die down around lunchtime. But then it'll pick back up like later in the evening time. So like she says, you have to. And then if you connect it, Instagram to your Facebook, that helps out too. Because when you schedule that post, you know, that post will post at a certain time and then you can reshare that. And if you reshare that on Facebook, it doesn't just give you a Facebook link, it shares your Instagram link. So somebody can actually click on your Instagram
from Facebook,
and it takes you to your Instagram account, and then they can like it on their social app on that too.
Okay,
so it helps out.
You got Instagram, Facebook. I'm sure you're on other stuff, but like, which platform gives you the most like return on your investment? Like, who do you see the most calls from or most engagement with?
To be honest with you, most of our stuff comes from just going out, you know, going to networking, like how we went to the event. That's where most of our stuff comes from. Just meeting people, talking with people. But of course, you know, we've have, you know, some people on Facebook because, you know, Facebook is kind of the number one in a sense.
I would
because
say
it's
that's
the
our
longest.
second.
Yeah.
We get the second
off of
from
Facebook.
our Facebook. Instagram really just connects us to new people because, you know, once you hit the hashtags in there, we get people from all over. Like I don't even really go know exactly where they're from, but they're outside of Savannah. They're outside of the United States. You get all kind of people. And what I really like on Instagram is that if you post at night, you're getting the people that's up on the other side of the world.
That's true. Where they're just waking up.
Yeah. And then they're scrolling those hashtags, and now you have people across the world knowing who you are.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And eventually we'll probably start seeing business from Instagram, but until then it's really in person, going out meeting people. And then our second would be Facebook. And Facebook, just because Facebook is like a really little community and everybody kind of knows each other, and hey, you know, they did my stuff, you should hit them up for yours, you know. And then that's that word of mouth.
Facebook has now become something to where everybody, now you start to see older people on Facebook. Instagram is still kind of a young person's game. Man, there's people that have messages on the Instagram and they don't even know how to check it. So, you know, so it's kind of,
that's true.
You know what I mean? So other than just looking at it and tapping pictures, you know, Instagram hasn't reached that peak as Facebook yet. Facebook, everybody knows how to use it. Everybody, the parameters are known worldwide on that. So that's why that's still a major driving force for us.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Everybody out there listening, thank you for joining us. We'll be right back in a minute with Tyron and Chinyere Williams of DOF Media. All right. Be back in a second. All right, welcome back, Savannah, to the Savannah Business Showcase. I'm your host, Taraz, and I'm here once again with Tyron and Chinyere Williams of DOF Media. And we're going to put them through the lightning round. Are you guys ready?
All right.
What did you want to be as a kid, and how does that relate to your current business?
A veterinarian. I wanted to be a vet, and then as you see, it don't relate at all. I loved animals. So growing up as a child, one time frame right here, I've had chickens, I've had 3 dogs, I've had a turtle, a tank full of catfish, a bird, and a duck.
Oh wow!
All in one time frame.
Okay, Dr. Doolittle.
Yeah, basically. I've always had pets, loved them, and I want to be a veterinarian, and I am so far left of that.
I wouldn't say that. We have a pet turtle right now in the aquarium, and we had a guinea pig, and we had a dog.
But I'm not a veterinarian right now. Okay. So, and then from being a veterinarian, it changed to want to be a fashion designer and a stylist. I did hair since I was 13, but it was like, I ain't want to do hair no more. I did my sister's hair. I have like 5 sisters. I don't want to do nobody else's hair when I got older. And I ended up actually going back to school to do hair professionally. I'm a licensed master cosmetologist now. Okay. And I do that. And then now I do video and photography.
That hair stuff comes into play when we have our clients who don't know how to make sure their makeup and stuff look good. Yeah, that helps out. So that's like a double win, right?
Yeah, because that actually goes with it. But being a veterinarian did not go with any of this.
Well, believe it or not, I wanted to be a train conductor. Like, I love trains. Like, I used to go to the railroad tracks and just sit down and watch the trains go by and stuff like that. And my grandfather, he used to, when we stayed in New York, he used to work for the Transit Authority. So he used to fix the subways and things like that. So I've always liked a train. Like, when we moved to the South, it was kind of sad because there's no trains here in Savannah. You know, the most recent train-like thing we went on was when we went to Atlanta and rode the MARTA. And so, you know, I just get excited going on trains. Like, I love trains, but I definitely have nothing to do with trains right now. Not at all.
Well, you engineer.
That's so different.
Same word.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Same word.
How have you approached failure in life?
Failure. I kind of look at it as motivation to me. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't like not achieving. It could be something as simple as not being able to open a jar. I will not let it defeat me. I don't like feeling defeated. You know, I will try and try and try again until I'm able to say I did it. Now, will I be able to do it again? Don't know. But I know for one time, I will do it. And I tell them that, you know, all the time. She's like, well, you sure you can't do that? Nobody's going to ever tell me anything that I can't do. I will try to do it. Even if it's something I've never done before, I will still try to do it.
And I just be over there looking like, look at this fool here.
True story.
He done took a hammer to the pickle jar. I tried to get it open.
It's go up.
Failure for me, I want to be able to say, like, this is what I would like to be able to say, is that I thought of failure as I didn't fail. I just know that's one less way to succeed. Well, I'm probably saying this quote wrong too right now, but to succeed. Am I saying that wrong? I probably am.
I think I get what you're trying to say. Yeah.
I'm glad somebody.
So like failure is like one more learning experience on the road to success.
Yes, exactly. But that's not me at all. I fail and I'm like, okay. I'll try again. You know, I'll keep trying, and eventually I just be like, I ain't get it. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone right now. I'll let him handle it.
It's like, yeah, I know he's gonna keep going. Yeah, babe, go do that.
Who influenced you early in life, and who's your mentor now?
I would say for me, it was really my coaches. You know, they really, you know, like they influenced that attitude to never give up. You know, and to, as I mentioned before, like your next play, make your next play the best play, no matter how bad you mess up. They say, hey, you would feel better going wrong, doing something 150%, trying to do something right, than to not do it at all and just miss opportunities when you could have tried. You know, and like you said, it's a learning curve to do it. So I would say my coaches. And football really was my teacher.
Okay.
I can't pinpoint who influenced my life the most or who I see as a mentor, because I'm pretty absorbent as a person. So I can be influenced a lot from a lot of people. I can take a lot of things from different people and apply it to my life. I would say as a mentor, life itself was my mentor, because it really was no one there to guide me. I did it on my own. So, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. But I can definitely tell you're stronger now because of whatever you went through.
Yes. She's very strong,
despite
her size. I tell her, don't let the size fool you. They're like, you got a big husband. Yeah, you should see my wife. And then she comes out of nowhere all looking all short. It's the little ones you got to worry about. So, yeah.
But you guys said you had mentors now, right? At one point?
Mean,
a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, for cosmetology, I had a mentor. His name was Jeremy Scott, the headhunter. He's very good. I love him, okay? I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But anyhow, he helped me, and he showed me a lot once I got out of cosmetology school as far as the hair and everything. He introduced me to doing my first magazine photo shoots and everything that got published and everything like that. But other than that, I, again, really have not had any mentors. It's just been life itself. I go through a situation. It may take a while to learn from it. You know, you may repeat it a couple of times, but eventually I learn from it and I move forward and then I apply that. And I make sure that I take those lessons that I've learned and I install them into my children, such as no one did with me. I make sure I do that for them.
Yes.
And then I guess he's kind of like a mentor. He keeps me steady and grounded. I'm hot-headed, quick-tempered, and he comes back and calms me down and, look, it's okay to be upset, but there's a better way to do it, and da-da-da-da.
Exactly. Exactly.
No one got time for all that assessment.
See, that's exactly what she said. Ain't nobody got time for that. So I just, that's just the way that I approach it. And I would say my mentors will probably be, now I would say are the people in my field, like Will Martin, Tracy Haynes. I wouldn't have a camera if it wasn't for Tracy Haynes. He was like, hey, look, you do good at audio, man. If you could do video too, like, you'd be dangerous. And so, I took heed of that, and like literally I left out of class and I bought a camera probably a few days later, and it came in and I was ready to go. So people like that, Kyle Walker, they all were hard on us. And, at the time, I was like, man, why ain't you on my case, man? Get off my case. But once you go into the field, you see why you have to be hard, because people are going to, not be with your product, or they're going to support your product, or, you have to sell yourself. What makes you just because I have a camera, people are not going to just like, oh, come take my picture. Right. Yeah. They're going to want to see, what can you do? What do you do that's different from another person that has a camera? What can you do that's different, than anybody else? Well, I can take this picture on my phone. What makes me want to do business with you? Right. Then you will continuously, if you own your own business, you will continuously have to prove yourself, not to yourself, but to other people, why you're worth doing business with. And
change. Like, you have to constantly change. As time goes on, things change. Technology upgrades. You have to be right there with it, if not a step ahead of it, to stay there. Yes. Like, you can't get comfortable again.
Yeah. How did you get your first client?
I'm just a people's person. Okay. I get on her a lot of times where, I can find opportunities at anytime, or create opportunities. Like, people, she does hair, and so somebody was like, oh, your hair looks cute, and she was like, oh, okay, thank you. And they walk away, and I'm looking at her, and she's like, why are you looking at that? Oh, she likes your hair. Hello, go tell them you do hair. So I just talk to people, and so I might somehow, some way, and sometimes it's sports. Like, hey, did you see the game this weekend? Yeah, I've seen the game this weekend. And then somehow it just translates into business, and I take advantage of that. So I can't necessarily remember my first client.
My first clients was my sisters, so I don't know if that counts or not.
Yeah, I don't remember my first clients too tough. Now, I remember my first opportunity to go shoot. I wouldn't say that was my first client, I guess, but my first opportunity, Will Martin, he told us to go out to shoot one of the Pinpoint seafood festivals. Okay. And we went out and we shot with a camera, and that was my first time actually shooting by myself. Okay. So I guess if you want to use that as that's fine. The first client, then that's what.
Tell me a story about a failure you had with Doff Media.
I would say one time we did something where we had a microphone, and we had the audio that hooks up to the video, and we were recording something, and I forgot to cut the mic on, and so we got all this good footage, and we're going in post production, and we're looking, and I'm like, oh no, we have no sound. It's really bad. So luckily the client was understanding, and we was able to reshoot it, and we were able to get it was even better the second time. And some people were like, well, sometimes, especially in our business, things are time sensitive. Sometimes you only get one time to do it. So luckily we was able to schedule another time and redo it again. So that was a big one for me. That was whew.
So what advice do you have to an entrepreneur that would be in your shoes during that failure?
Well, first you got to understand that when you mess up things like that, you got to own up to it. Like my professor Kyle Walker used to say, you have to fall on the sword. You have to fall on the sword and take whatever happens. Understand it may not be a chance that you may get to make that up. That may put a a stain on your track record
Right.
by doing those mistakes. But don't let that defeat you, because that, you know, a lot of people may, you know, mess up,
Discouraged.
you know, be discouraged from that. And you just gotta, you know, fall on the sword, apologize, see what you could do to make it right, you know, ask them if there's anything you could do to make it right, and just move forward from that.
Okay, so you have kids. You have 3 kids.
Yes.
What are you going to teach your children about entrepreneurship?
Oh, they already learned.
Yeah.
This past summer, it was kind of last straw for us, because they were always like, Mom, Dad, you know, can we have money for this? Can we have money for that? I'm like, enough is enough. Y'all got to learn about $1. And so what we did is we let them do work, and they
Let me stop you.
Okay.
I won't say what we had them do, because they kind of took it upon themselves. Once he was like,
True.
you can't keep asking for money for things, because they were getting money. Like, we give them money here and there, change allowance, and they would just go to the store and spend it, and then turn it right back around and want more money.
Yes.
So we're like, we're not gonna keep doing that. And so they was like outside with a table, and I'm like, what are y'all doing? They're like, we're gonna sell our stuff. You're gonna do what?
Yeah.
And they literally took their toys, and they sold their toys. They made a good bit of money for that week. Actually, I
kinda
was
jealous.
impressed. Yeah.
It's like, man, hold on, what y'all do? I need to learn
And
from y'all.
then at that point, we sat down with them, because we have 2 boys and a girl, and then we had my niece and nephew over. So they broke off into the girls, and then they broke off into the boys, and we sat down and we wrote business plans, 2
Okay.
different business plans for what they wanted to do themselves. The boys took their business plan, and they took the money that they made from selling their toys, and they went to the store and brought their stuff. The girls took their money, went to the store and brought their stuff. They put aside money to buy more product to sell, as well as pay their self. And then at the end of the summer, whatever was left over from the product, they split it between each other.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's real good. It was real good.
I like that. I got to get my kids to hang out with your kids.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's one thing in your business that drains you of energy, and what's one thing that excites you?
what drains is, for me, post-production for videos, because I'm still learning. Again, he'll sit there with me and be like, well, you could do this quicker. And I'm like, don't try to help me now, because I already learned my way, and your way don't work for me. But it takes me, like, I went from, like, it took, the first time I did a video, it was like a 30-second video, 30-minute video. What was it?
30 seconds.
30-second video.
Yeah.
I was there for like 4 hours. I had no, she's like, yeah. And I was tired. I'm like, bruh. But the video came out good. So the tiresome part is the post-production work. The one that excites me is seeing it all come together at the end, and you watching it, you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, babe, I did that right there.
Yeah, but I had to second that. Post-production, anybody in audio and video knows post-production is the most strenuous, long process of getting it. Don't matter if it's audio or video, it takes up so much time.
Yep.
Some days I'm sitting there at the computer with my hands in my face like, oh my God, like this part won't come together.
Right.
Especially when it was for grades, man. It's getting it done before timelines. Like, oh man, it was horrible. But as she said, when you see the finished product, it's great. You know, it's really great.
All right, a few more questions.
Okay.
Favorite book?
Don't have a favorite book, but right now I'm currently reading the Money Quadrant.
Yes.
Rich Dad,
Rich Dad,
Poor
Poor
Dad
Dad series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. It's pretty good. It's changed my mindset a lot. I have not finished it yet. I was like him. Nobody gonna do it like how I want it done. So I'm gonna do it myself. But reading a book, it kind of took me out that mindset. You can't run a corporate business
Doing
by
everything.
yourself. And eventually that's where we want to be. We want to have a corporate business with all of these sub businesses under it. But we can't run all them by ourselves. I know. I'm gonna tell him, you crazy. I'm not helping you. I'm going over here to take a nap. So
Rich
that
Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant.
yeah,
Right.
Cash Flow Quadrant. Yes, great book. Love it. So
Favorite book. I've read a lot of books. I don't know. I don't have like a favorite, but
Okay.
I
Is there one you go back to a lot?
the Bible.
yeah, every
just
day.
to bring it in there. Like, yeah, I mean, I know it's kind of cliche probably, but to be honest with you, just it's the only thing that covers everything in life. You know, from maybe I may feel discouraged about the business in the daytime, or I may discourage maybe how I feel about somebody at certain times. It's the only thing that really like takes care of everything as a sense, to where I know I can feel some kind of spiritual gratification that will put back out positive, positive air out there. So I read scriptures from time to time. Should I read it more? Yes, of course. I need to do that. But whenever I do read it, it allows me to, mentally get back in the game in a sense. Right. It's kind of like my coach just like, hey, I see you out there. I know it's rough. It encouraged me, and it allows me to, stay focused. So
awesome. Yeah. There's a concept called Pareto's Principle. The 80-20 rule, some people call it that. So 20% of your actions equal 80% of the results. So in DOF Media, what are the 20% of actions you take that get you the most results?
I would say the 20% of the action is actually doing stuff. Like when I say doing stuff, it's actually, we can talk about it, but just do it. Just get it out there. No matter what it is, just get it out there, because people will see it. And that's our thing, for people to see our work. People are not gonna always just be like, hey, just because you do video and photography, they're not just going to come to you. You have to have something for them to come to you for. Sometimes we have to go to them and say, look, you need pictures, you need video, and some people are like, well, why I need that? And we have to continuously show them, like, this is, you have to be, it's much more effective if you have these tools to help you with your business. Or your wedding is great, but, if you have this little bit, it's something that you can look back in years, and you just have to continue to do it. So it's just do it. And I can't lie, I'm the type of person where I may think of great ideas, and she calls them $1 million ideas, and she helps me get them out. She's like, you can't hold it. You can't hold your cards. You can't hold gold. You gotta spend it. You gotta get it out there. So that's something I would say our actions, since we've been getting more things out there, we have been more successful at getting clients. And I'm sometimes I'm too methodological. Like I'm like, okay, well, no, I'm gonna do this here. We're gonna do this here. So man, nobody has time for that. Just put it out.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that works.
Some of the greatest businesses that have started companies, they spend 15 minutes on a business plan, and then they just started it after those 15 minutes. If you're sitting here writing a business plan for 20 days, you're 20 days from where you could have been if you had just went on ahead and started it. Yeah, it makes sense to have a plan. I ain't saying don't go in without a plan. Have a plan. Have a plan B if you can, but start. And it's no matter what you do, it's gonna be learn as you go. You're not gonna go in with a plan and it's just gonna be 100% smooth sailing. You're gonna hit a stump and you're gonna be like, oh my God, I hit my toe. Let me walk around that. You're gonna learn as you go. And you just got to start though. If you never start, you'll never get there.
And just like y'all said earlier, if everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So it don't even make sense to spend, like you said, more than 15, 20 minutes or a day on a business plan.
So that some of the greatest things that we've learned has just from just doing it. And we're recently going through that right now. Like, we've done a lot of great things, but some things that we did, it's like, okay, now we got to take care of this. Now we have to do this. But now we know, now we know what not to do, because we just took that step and we did it. So that's
you didn't take the step, you wouldn't know. You just be sitting there like,
you still haven't experienced yet.
The procrastination, basically, that's what it is. Don't procrastinate. I probably still said that wrong, huh?
Procrastinate, and sometimes you can procrastinate and not know that you're doing it. And I know for me, that was a big one. Like, I would have this golden plan in my head, like, what you mean I procrastinate? Don't you see all this stuff already planned out? She's like, is it out yet?
Did you do it?
Did you do it yet?
Did you start?
No. Did you even do step 1 yet? No. Then what, you're procrastinating. And that was a big one for me. So
to 3 more. Real quick.
Okay.
Like, is there a quote that's always been a mantra that you live by?
Oh yeah, mine is success is right outside your comfort zone. You have a box, you can only see what's in that box. You're only familiar with what's in your box, but in your box you may be tired, you may be not happy, you might not be content with what you have in your box. But if you step outside your box, you just opened up your horizon to a whole bunch of new things, and at least a handful of those new things will get you that happiness and the content that you're looking for. If you can only walk in your square. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense.
Makes a lot of
but
sense.
once you go out the door, you find a whole nother world. That's just like we went to the cabins for the evacuation. Everybody's like, Savannah's pretty. And if you stay in Savannah, you don't find it that much appealing, do you?
True, yeah.
But once you leave Savannah, you like, oh my God, it's so pretty in these places. I want to stay here. That's your box.
Yeah.
You know, you're in your box. It's not appealing until you step outside to see what else is out there.
Yeah. I would have to say I really wasn't a big quote person until I met her. And her biggest quote is, there's more than one way to Walmart. And you know, that is so true. You know what I mean? It's so true. And you know, for what we do, you know, once again, like I said, I tied into music and stuff like that. I just had this in my mind, you know, I'm gonna be this Grammy Award producer, and it's gonna happen from just doing it my way. But she's like, you know what? Sometimes you can't go that straight path. Sometimes you may have to dabble in other things that may lead you to. Who knows? I may bump into Jay-Z's DJ and I take a picture of him, and then guess what? That just opened up a door for me to get to where I need to be, and it wasn't the way that I originally planned. My big plan sheet that I have, it wasn't a part of that. It's not supposed to happen because it's not on the sheet.
Right.
Right.
Who's going to say that?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Are you mad it happened because it wasn't on the sheet? No, I'm not. Okay, there you go. So yeah, that's a big quote that I live by for hers, you know, that she did. And I think that's great.
Okay. If you had a superpower or ability, what would you choose and
Teleportation.
She ain't lying. She is not lying.
You just want to be there.
You just want to be there.
Yeah.
Just go. You know, because we had an event a couple weekends ago where we ended up having to go to Tampa and do an event, and then had to go to Atlanta that next day. That's a 7-hour drive. So like, and then the event that we did in Tampa was late in the evening. So literally after the event, we had to get in the car and we had to go. I just grabbed some Sprite and some Pop-Tarts, and I was gone. So
I think I drove for like an hour.
Yeah, she did. I had to take a
went to
nap.
sleep. I was driving sleep.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people can relate to that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, the car's were. He's like, oh, let's go. You all right? I'm like, I'm trying.
Just pull over. Just pull. Sleep when we get there. Take a nap in the parking lot.
Teleportation. Get there.
Yeah.
Right. Did you have a different one you like teleportation too?
I can't really, either that or flying, just because I want to just go in the air and just, you know, fly. Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that.
All right. And last one that I always ask everybody last, advice for entrepreneurial kids and their parents.
The hardest thing is time. When I had my 9 to 5, you know, I was like, man, I can't do this. I don't have enough time to do anything. And in contrary to that, I have less time doing the entrepreneurial thing because you're getting it off the ground, but it's to create more time later.
Yeah.
And you know, I would say with people who have kids is just, you know, spend the time that you spend with your kids is very precious. You know, like my son plays soccer, my daughter does cheerleading. My youngest son, we still haven't found what his God-given gift is as of yet, but you know, and we try not to miss a game, you know, and sometimes we do have to miss some games sometimes, but in order to do that, we kind of have our services. We'll videotape it, and we'll have it to where we can watch their game later and they share with us and things of that nature. So, you know, and just really just include them in your process, because at first some of our children, it was hard because they were like, well, you know, we really don't see you, or, you know, you don't want them to feel like that we don't love them, you know. So we try to shower them with love. And we try to tell them, like, hey, look, we're trying to build something that's for you. You know, whether you actually work in this business or just when you grow up and you own a piece of this business, you have something that you know that we worked hard for, and keep that in that's our legacy. You know, when our kids get older, they have the opportunity. If they don't want to do what we do, they still own that. And then they can, you know, pass that down to their kids, that ownership, that stock that we have, that we created for them. So that's what I tell them, just involve them in it. You know, we're lucky to have we're lucky to have kids that are actually interested in what we do. Like for Father's Day, there was no greater feeling than having my whole family working with me. Like we had a father-daughter ball that we did in Macon, and I was on the camera, she was on the camera.
They
My
had
son,
their headsets
they had the
on, running
headsets
around
on.
like secret agents.
Yeah, they were talking to us. My son had the schedule, and his job was to make sure that we knew what time the events start. My daughter was assistant to the promotions director, and my youngest son was helping with admissions, like having people's tickets and putting on wristbands. Yeah. There was no greater feeling than having a family with me, you know, doing our family business and growing that. So
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Basically, just involve your children. Like it may not be easy at first. I'm not gonna say it was easy at first, because it was not.
It's not.
It took a long time. It took a while for them to even grasp and understand. Yeah, they understand the 9 to 5, but when you work in a 9 to 5 and then you got to leave again to go to your business that you're trying to grow, it's kind of like, what y'all doing? Then they see us dressed up and they think y'all going out to party and stuff, you know. But this is how we dress when we go out for our events.
Yeah.
And it took a long time for them to understand that and grasp that. But the moment we got a chance to take them to an event with us, we let them know. Constantly repeating ourselves. This is what we do. This is our job. Eventually you'll be able to come. Until that time comes, we'll let you sit in with us when you can, when it's appropriate. You know, we just involve them as much as possible so that they can learn and grasp the understanding.
Great advice. Great advice. Well, that's it. We got about 30 seconds. So how can people find you? Or a minute. We got a minute. How can people find you? How can people reach out to you?
Definitely find us on our social media sites, on Facebook at DOF Media. You can find us on Instagram at
at DOF Media on Instagram.
At DOF Media LLC on Instagram.
Okay.
You gotta add an LLC on Instagram.
Okay, sorry about that.
And on Snapchat, you can find us at DOF Media LLC as well.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So everybody, well, thank you guys for coming on. We gotta have you back again, because this was an easy interview. It was a fun interview. I enjoyed it. So maybe in a year or so, if I'm still doing it.
I believe you're still doing it.
Yeah.
I believe you're still doing it. We appreciate the opportunity, and we love what
Thank
you're doing,
you.
man. So
great.
Thank you.
Instant classic interview. So thank you everybody out there for joining us. Thank you for listening to Savannah Business Showcase. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Go out there and do something impactful that's going to help somebody around you, that's going to help a friend, family member, a church member, somebody close to you. You don't have to do anything major to impact the world and change the world. So thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.